Hello, my creative friends. I'm Heather North from heatherscreativeblessings.com. This is release week for the Stamp of Approval Friendship Collection, and even though the collection sold out within the first hour of being sold, I am still going to show you this video because I think that you can find something in here to pull from and learn from, and these products will be available for sale later on in 2016. So if you missed out, you can pick it up later. I'm going to be making a shaker card for a baby. I'm using Stampin' Up's Soft Sky ink and paper, and the Curtis background for Stamp of Approval. This little background kind of reminded me of baby rattles. And the day I made this card, my son's friend became an uncle again. His sister had a little baby boy. And so I had babies on the brain, and I thought I would make a card in honor of baby Chevy. When using a large background stamp, I tend to stamp upside down. So I put my stamp on the table, ink it up, bring my paper to the stamp, then cover it with a piece of scrap paper so I can kind of rub it in and get an even stamped layer. Now, the Soft Sky ink goes on a lot darker than it dries. Once it dries back, it really lightens. But I forgot that when I was making this card. So I decided to stamp off, and that's what I do here. I inked up the stamp. I stamped it first on a piece of scrap paper, and then I brought my cardstock to it and repeated that process. And what this does is it gives you a much lighter impression, which is kind of cool. I think this would make a really great masculine card for like one of my teenage boys. Anyways, I ended up using that first stamped image because once it dries, it really did lighten up to the perfect color. And here I am cleaning off my stamp. This is just a chamois I got in the kind of car wash aisle at the local auto parts store. It works fabulous for cleaning off clear stamp. I stamped the Curtis background with that same Soft Sky ink earlier onto Whisper White cardstock, and I cut out several of the tags that came in this kit. This is one of those tags, and I'm going to use it. You don't actually have to use a tag for this process, but since I had it, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to cut down my stamped piece to about 3.5 by 4.5 inches, and then I'm going to cut out the medium-sized tag from the kit. This is what makes the opening for my shaker card. I won't end up using that tag. I'll use it hopefully on a different project. I've cut down that tag I showed you earlier so that it will fit behind my Soft Sky cardstock. If you don't have the tags, all you need to do is to make sure that that Whisper White piece of cardstock is bigger than the opening of your shaker. Now I'm going to take a little piece of window sheet, and as you can see, I didn't even measure. I just kind of set it up there. You just want to make sure, again, that your window sheet is bigger than the opening that you created with the tag die cut. To adhere the window sheet to the back of my Soft Sky cardstock, I'm just using some score tape. This one's really thin. I like this because it's easy to just tear off exactly what you need, but you can use whatever adhesive that you prefer. Once I have the window sheet in place, I'm going to use this 3M foam tape to adhere the back panel to my card. I just take a long strip that's approximately the size of my window, and I'm just going to cut that down into narrow strips. I don't need it to be very wide, but I do need to make sure I go around the entire perimeter of the tag, not having any gaps. If there's any gaps, then the little shaker elements inside could leak out. Especially there's some little teeny tiny hearts and dots inside of the shaker mix from Lucy that I'm using today. I decided I wanted to give my elements lots of room to shake around, so I'm adding a second layer of this foam adhesive on top of the first. I also put some pieces of the foam tape off to either side of the shaker so that it would be the same height on the entire top piece. Now comes the tricky part, getting all these layers together. So here's what I came up with. I added some snail adhesive to the back of my Whisper White cardstock, and I'm gonna just line it up behind my top panel. Let's just call it top panel. And then I'm going to put it on my card where I want it to go. Now I have not removed the backing from the foam tape, so I can just lift the top off. But I now have my white piece adhered to my card base. The little collection of flower dies that I was pointing to up there, it's also in the Stamp of Approval kit. It's from Casual Fridays. I die cut several of them out with Soft Sky cardstock, and I'm going to add this to my shaker card. It's just a fun little confetti to add along with the sequin mix from Lucy that's also included in the kit. I'm just putting all of my elements into the very center of that stamped panel. And by doing this, I can make sure that all of my little bits stay inside the shaker and don't end up all over my card. One of the things I like to do with shaker cards is add a few glue dots to the top and sides and maybe middle of my background. And by doing this, the little sequins and elements will stick to some of those glue dots, and I won't end up with all of my confetti in the very bottom of the shaker. It will be spread out throughout the little window. I really like the look of that better. I'm just going to remove the backing and center this up and adhere it to my card front. Flowers that comes in this set comes with an outline, and I thought that it just kind of blended into the cardstock too much. So what I did here was lost my tweezers. This would have made it so much easier. I hate getting inky. I just put that piece of Soft Sky cardstock into my Soft Sky ink, and that gets it just a shade or two darker than the original Soft Sky. Then I'm going to layer my flower inside it and add a couple of sequins to the center. And I think then my card will be done. One last little piece of advice. This shaker card shakes a little bit, but not a lot. If you want it to shake more, add another layer or two to give more room for it to move around, or just put less elements inside. But the nice thing about having it so packed and full is it really does have sequins all over the inside of that window card. I hope you've enjoyed this card, and I really hope that you got in on that box before it sold out. Be sure and sign up early for the holiday box. Catherine has promised us that she will have more available for that one. If you would like to see a picture of baby Chevy and more details, be sure and click the link below if you're on YouTube to go over to my blog. If you're on YouTube and you like my card, please click the like button and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel so you can see more videos from me. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you find some time today to get a little bit creative. Bye!